I'd like to thank the organizers for having us this year, and for Ross for not throwing me off the podium once he found out I was actually coming to this. So what we're doing at Outlook Therapeutics is to achieve an honest to goodness FDA approval in ophthalmology for Bevacizumab. We're a public company. One of the joys of that is being highly regulated by the federal government. This is our disclaimer. There will be a test. So the way that we're approaching this marketplace is through product differentiation. Our Bevacizumab is going to have characteristics and traits associated with it that are just not available in the Bevacizumab that's used off-label today. In addition to that, besides getting a differentiated drug product and drug solution, and I'll go through some of those traits in just a minute, our product is going to avoid the vagaries of the compounding process, and ultimately will also have a delivery system that we've been testing with the ophthalmologists, and they really like this offering that we're going to be coming out with. We have compelling data that I'm going to show you in just a minute. These are the data that will buttress the submission that we're going to make to FDA by September of this year. That would give us a potential to launch this, some 8 to 12 months post-approval. This market today, as we speak, is about 50% off-label. So we think there's some real value that we can bring with this. And assuming we achieve FDA approval here, this will give us 12 years of regulatory exclusivity in the United States. And then we also have SPAs that are approved by FDA for the treatment of DME and BRVO. So those are additional studies that we'll be conducting. This is the marketplace as it looks today in general. Since this slide was made, there have been a couple biosimilar, or one biosimilar that's in and another one that will come in, but it looks to us still that about half this market is going to still be off-label by the time we get an FDA approval. And when I talk about differentiation, this is what we're speaking of. If you look at what standards FDA holds us to and holds all of the other companies who have achieved an original BLA approval, we've got requirements around sterility, lack of particulates, endotox levels, a lot of CGMP requirements associated with our effort in our factories. Our packaging, what goes to the doctor, has to be approved by the FDA. That's not what they're getting right now as it pertains to off-label Bevacizumab. Our stability, shelf life, have to be documented and real. We've got pH levels we have to meet, osmolarity specifications that we have to meet, and the actual potency of the drug. I guess you think you could take that for granted, but there's a well-known JAMA article that was done by Szilard Kiss and Yanutzi and others that showed that in that particular study, 80% of the samples that they looked at had insufficient drug protein concentration. So probably puts a question in the doctor's mind around dosing. Are they actually getting the amount of drug on a per injection basis that they think they're supposed to have? So not taking anything for granted, the company did some market research in the United States and Europe to find out, does anybody want this? I mean, off-label Bevacizumab has been around, but despite the fact that we think we're going to be able to up the game there, does anybody really want it? And what we found that, amazingly, 82% of the doctors in Europe, 85% of the doctors in the United States said, I'm interested or very interested in this product, and more on that later. But of course, we had to show FDA in a number of trials that this was a hitter that deserved to be in the marketplace. So it was a randomized, mass-controlled trial that compared our Bevacizumab to ranibizumab. 228 patients were enrolled. It was all performed in the United States, and over 95% of the patients were treatment naive. And this is the dosing regimen that we had. We had to show FDA monthly what the effect of our drug was going to be, and we compared this in a superiority trial regulatory strategy concept against the peer regimen that, of course, is FDA approved in the Lucentis labeling. This was not meant to show any superiority from a marketing standpoint, but what we're trying to demonstrate here is that our bevacizumab works, and boy did it work. What we found was, if you looked at our primary endpoint, which were the number of patients that gained 15 letters or 3 lines, almost 42% of our patients did, compared to 23% in the control arm. But look at the p-value, 0.0052, not a chance event that this occurred. Likewise, when we looked at our key secondary endpoints, almost 70% of the patients gained a line. So kind of a clinically relevant piece of data. 56.5% gained 2 lines, and again, 42% gained 3 lines. But look at the p-value, 0.01 and 0.001. Probably not by chance that these results occurred. A third party did some recent research that corroborated the research that we had seen previously, and that was associated with, if this comes to the market, do you see any value in this? Well, 80% of the doctors thought that that ONS 5010 was an advancement to the field. And 77% believed that an FDA-approved version of bevacizumab was important. So again, corroborating the market research that had been done previously. So in closing, this is a big marketplace for us. We believe that the potential for getting the first FDA approval of bevacizumab is going to make the anti-VEGF space a safer place. Good morning. Thank you for joining us, and have a great day.